Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. This is our House of the Dragon Season 2, Episode 4 preview. Are you guys ready for it all to go down? I know the past few previews have kind of made it seem like everything is about to go down, but it actually feels like now at this point, based on the promo, based on all the dragons that are in there, the crown falling, all of this, it seems like things are
Ooh.
really about to go down.
Yeah, the dragons are coming, and seeing the crown fall in that preview, I mean, uh-oh, Team Green, we may be coming up for an L here. I mean, it's not looking that great.
For those who are wanting something that is big and epic and some dramatic showdown where there's multiple factions really going at it with each other, like this really feels like the episode you have been waiting for.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like we had my guy Aemond up on his dragon. It
Yep.
looked like there was, everybody's coming together at this one big battle, so we'll see how it goes.
Now, with all of that being said, here is a question I'm wondering, and maybe you guys are wondering it too, and you can let us know in the comments.
Mhm.
Is this battle somehow a smokescreen for what the real action is going to be? The real action that is
Mm.
happening behind the scenes. It may not be mentioned that much in the preview, but I've got some theories. I've got some questions as to where things may be going from here on out.
And just a reminder, we haven't read the books, and it
Yeah.
seems like they've been changing some stuff from the books anyway, so we actually don't know what's coming up here.
All right, well, before we get too much further into it, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss anything more
Mhm.
on House of the Dragon. We've got reviews, previews, all sorts of good content all season long.
Absolutely. And you can also join our Patreon. It's another great way to help support us here at the channel. And thank you to everyone who has joined.
Okay, Alicent Hightower, let's do it. Let's
All right.
get into the. Okay, she is one of my favorite people on your team, Green. Here, she is
Oh,
somebody.
thank
Well,
you.
she's smart. I like her. I like her better now that she's realizing the truth about Aegon not being the prince who was promised.
Well, that's been part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Alicent and the actress has talked about this as well, that her character is really about loyalty to the crown. She, is the daughter of Otto, who has served three kings. She is someone who has grown up serving the crown. She ends up married to the king. She is serving him as his wife as well. Like, till the very end, she has thought that he had meant that Aegon was supposed to be the prince who was promised, that he was supposed to be king. Her whole life has been around serving the crown. So I think this conversation that she had in this past episode with Rhaenyra, where it's all kind of clicking together because they're both sharing information that the other person didn't have, where it's all clicking together, where she's like, oh, cool. So my whole life has been
Yeah.
serving the crown, being loyal to the king, and everything that he's ever wanted, I've been here to give him as honestly as I can, to find out that his last words were not what she thought that they were, and that she's done everything that he didn't want, I think really weighs on her as just a person who's like, this is my whole life to be for the crown. And I got it wrong. Like, what he said, I didn't have all the information. And now that I do, what do I do with this? Because my whole life has been, I need to serve the crown. But now that the information is wrong, how do I go about this? Is it just too far gone?
Don't worry, Alicent. I'm here to help. Yes, I'm Team Black, but I'm also here to help because I.
Oh, well, thank you.
Well,
Don't
you're.
sabotage us.
I don't know. I would only sabotage you if it meant that Aegon was no longer king. Get that guy out of here. But anyway, Alicent, the biggest thing that I think that she is going to focus on here, and I think this could be really intriguing, is that she is going to potentially shift a little bit in terms of where she is supporting because
Mhm.
she obviously wanted to follow Viserys's vision, but now that
Yes.
she knows that that is false, I think she still wants to support the realm. I still think her focus is going to be what's right for the realm. I don't necessarily think that, oh, she's out to destroy her son or anything on that level, but I do think she is going to try to find ways to have more of a voice, have more of a presence because her father is no longer there. He's off in Old Town. She
Mhm.
doesn't really have that many people who she can say has her back. But here is the thing. We know that Aegon can be a little bit reckless, a little bit petulant. He's very much out for getting what he wants in the aftermath of what happened to his son. So he's going to be so laser focused on fighting. Like, he basically wanted to get into the fray at 5 different points in this past episode before other people tried to back him off of it. Who was one of those people who helped to back him off of it? Larys. Larys has been around doing his whole creepy thing for most of this season. This is Larys's time to shine. I think he and Alicent are going to find a way to start to run things, get allegiances going, the stuff that really matters, whereas Aegon can go run around to pretend to command his army and do all this other stuff. Like, that stuff maybe matters in terms of morale, but I don't think that's where the real value of this episode's going to be.
Yeah, because we saw Alicent in this preview tell Aegon that he's half the king Viserys was, and he's basically like, watch it. And she's like, what exactly are you gonna do? Like, I'm your mother. Like,
Yeah.
You're not gonna do anything. I can speak to you this way, and there are no consequences for it. It's just the way that it's gonna go. But I do think that conversation is gonna push Aegon to join in on this battle. Seeing the crown fall, I don't think he's going to die, but it does feel like, something is going to happen out there. Otherwise, why do we have this crown falling, right? I mean, and have him basically having this conversation with his mom where it feels like, yeah, he got talked out of it in last episode, but he's not always going to be able to be talked out of it. At some point, somebody's going to say the wrong thing, like you're half the king Viserys was, where then he's gonna be like, oh yeah, well, let me show you. He's a young guy who's king. So at some point he is just gonna be like, let's go. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show you what I'm capable of. And I think this is gonna be it.
Okay, I'm gonna put on tinfoil hat here.
All right, tinfoil hat, let's go.
Is Alicent going to do something where she doesn't get Aegon killed? Like I said, I don't think she wants that.
No, that's her son.
But could she do something, especially now knowing what she does, that could lead to Aegon being imprisoned, Aegon being sent somewhere else, or Aegon just deciding he doesn't want to do this anymore because he didn't really want to be king in the first place. He seems to have, enjoyed the power since then. But yeah. I think if you're Alicent, you have to look at your family objectively here and be like, who out of the people in my family do I really want to be in power since I've already stepped in it this much? It is Aemond 100 ways to Sunday. He is actually capable. Now, as a Team Black fan, I don't want this because I think Aemond would actually do a good job. I want this place to be just a hot mess all the time. But if I am Alicent, I would want to do at this point whatever I can to get Aemond more power, to get Aemond more control, because Helena's not really built for this either. She's got her crickets, her bugs, like she's does not like this sort of being in the public eye thing. I think Aemond is more than capable. If she can find a way to elevate him and diminish Aegon, by all means do it.
Yeah, Aemond is way more malleable for her. And if for her to find her place in this where she can have some sort of element of power or just self. I mean, the idea that she's been hooking up with Sir Criston, I think, is something that is very much for self. Like, everything has been for the crown and nothing has been for her. And I think now that she's in this spot, that she realizes what Viserys had said was not what she thought that it meant, I think she's really scrambling to figure out what is for her and how can she have some kind of a say and some kind of a life in this mess that has been created by what Viserys had said. And so I think the idea of, if Aegon can somehow just not be on the throne, but not dead, incapacitated in some way, in jail, whatever it is that happens or could happen to him, that then if she's got Aemond on the throne, he is someone who is way more vulnerable. He's extremely insecure. We've seen that there's no one that he's really close to except this one woman. Like, he's not vulnerable to anybody. He doesn't talk to anybody. He's a really angry, quiet guy for a multitude of reasons. But Larys is somebody who could speak to him, and so is Alicent, and them together could be someone that they could influence him and gas him up to be like, he's so insecure. Be like, you're the guy, you've studied this for years and sword fighting for years. You're someone who is strategic. You're it. Also, how about this idea? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I think he's just somebody that they together might think that they can control a bit better. And I think they probably can if they lean into his insecurities, which he has many.
Yes, he does. And somebody else who could be useful to influence him further is Otto, who has a lot of experience influencing kings over time. Maybe you find a way to bring Otto back. Here is another thing I'm kind of suspicious on that could push Alicent even further down this road. I feel like Sir Kristen, aka the Worst, is going to get her brother killed out in the field, and something that is going to happen here where she's going to turn on Sir Kristen even more. Like he was useful to her as somebody to just, hook up with. There wasn't any sort of like official ties, anything else. It was just sort of a secret release, if you will. But now that he's got this power, now that he is going fully down the hole here with Aegon, he's not, nobody wants to be around him at this point. And if he does something that leads to Sir Gawain being taken out, like that's another grudge that's going to make her be like, you know what? I got to do something to get this regime out of here because this is causing way too many problems.
There are too many goons at the Team Green table. There really is.
Mhm.
I mean, some of this needs to get cleaned up. The council is a mess. I
Yeah.
mean, you even have a Lannister sitting at this
Yeah.
table. Like, this council needs to get cleaned up so that they can actually get somebody on the throne, that they can get some sort of, control over that is somewhat reasonable.
Yeah, and speaking of councils that are a mess, I can't exactly say that things are pristine over at Team Black at the moment,
No,
where
they having problems too.
they're trying to just like send Rhaenyra away. That's not happening, but Rhaenyra
No.
is in this position now, especially judging from the preview, where
Yeah.
now that she knows that, okay, what she thought was true, that, there was no falsehood, there was no Viserys changing his mind at the last minute, that she needs to do whatever she can in order to get the kingdom back. So for the first time, she's really willing to go all in here, have the dragons, find more, use whatever she needs. But then the question still comes, is this time? We had one discussion between Jace and House Stark, and do we now just say that House Stark is good with them? Like after what happened to Jaehaerys, is that still a thing?
Yeah, that's the thing, is she realizes now after that conversation there was only one path forward, and it's going to be just the full force of everything that she has, all the
Yeah.
dragons, anyone that's on her side. She had been more sort of cool-headed to really think about things, be patient, take her time to build everything together. But now at this point where she's just like, oh, my father did want me on the throne. This was a miscommunication, and Alicent's not going to do anything to fix it. Now it's time for me to just press forward. I have to do whatever it takes now that I know the truth. And I know that she knows the truth.
I understand why you're thinking the way that you are, Rhaenyra. I think you are the rightful heir to this throne, but slow your roll just like a tiny bit because there's one thing you need to take care of first, and that is your husband and what's going on with him, who's just like chilling at Harrenhal and seeing things and going through all these other problems. Like, yeah, you can probably win a couple of showdowns without him, but he is basically your Aemond. He is the very valuable, strategic, smart fighter who has a dragon who can do all these different things, and he's not there. And I know he's not there because of his own actions, but if you are actually going to go with this full tilt at this point, you can't rely on people like Bela and Jace who just aren't experienced in any of this stuff.
No, she needs the time to actually turn the houses back in her favor after everything that happened with Jaehaerys. I mean, she needs to figure out how to build her group more. Like, dragons are important, but
Yeah.
they're not the only thing that wins battles. That's been sort of the theme of the season, where it's like, yeah, the dragons are great. Yeah, we have dragons, but they also have dragons.
Yeah.
And maybe we can have more dragons, but they also have the biggest dragon. So, like, is this really the way to make that happen? Do we really, once we pit all our dragons against each other, we're basically pitting all our family members and their family
Yeah.
members against each other? And is that really how we want to win this?
Don't get me wrong. I like fighting. I'm sure the action sequences are going to be tremendous. But what I loved about Game of Thrones sometimes too was just seeing the expansion of the world. And there's still more room for that on Team
Mhm.
Black, where we can go out and see new people. Like, I remember the first time I saw the Moon Door on Game of Thrones.
Oh, the moon door.
I lost my mind. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. And
Yeah, it is.
I do want to see more of that. I do want to see them working to get as many advantages as possible,
Mhm.
because I think if you, like, let's just say you're a house out there in Westeros and you have meetings, you schedule a meeting with Aegon, and maybe you're going to be Team Aegon if you're just somebody who just was like, ah, and you just want to go in there and swing your sword around. But if you're trying to think about your actual future, maybe you are going to consider Rhaenyra, but if she's too reckless or goes too quickly with any of it, it could be a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is from this preview, it feels like she's just all in, going in full D at this point.
Yeah, oh, okay. We've had enough full D on House of the Dragon at this point.
Oh, amen, full D. No, but
Okay.
she is really laser focused right now. Is it going to work to her advantage? I don't know. Like, it feels like both sides at this point have not taken enough time
Mhm.
to build the people behind them to be able to actually win this. If it really is just let's get all our dragons and hope for the best, I mean, it's not only about having dragons. We learned this from the Aemond and Luke situation.
Yeah.
They had the dragons, but they couldn't control their dragons. And because they couldn't control their dragons out of control turned into this accident. Neither one of
Mhm.
them were able to stop them from what was happening, and they both tried.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can go and collect these unclaimed dragons and great, but if you don't have experienced writers on them, none of it matters.
No, that's why this is going to be a very messy showdown that we get coming up here. Nothing is going to be
Yeah.
refined. There's probably going to be more people who end up dying on accident. That's just the way that things have been set up on this particular show.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited to see what's coming up next. I am crossing my fingers that this is the end for Sir Kristen, that he can be gone. We can have a new Hand of the King.
Listen, it's as much as I don't like him and nobody likes him, it is nice to have somebody on the show that unites Team Green and Team Black. Nobody likes him.
We
He
can
is the
tie
worst.
our banners like in a knot behind us. and
That's
it's
right.
Like, we are now together. Okay.
Yes.
All right. No, we will be back, of course, to discuss this episode. We have a lot more House of the Dragon coverage coming. So
Yeah.
hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that. Also, you can support us further by joining our Patreon. We have a link in the description below that helps us to be able to make these videos that we love to make for you guys.
Yes.
Thank you, and we'll see you here next time.